time now for my banner with some 23 minutes after 8. Well, yesterday, the Daily Graphic newspaper reported that commercial vehicles without seatbelts won't be registered from September this year. That's according to the DVLA. And I raised a few questions after reading the headline. But when traveling on commercial transport, or what we call trotros, some of them do not have seat belts. They do only in the front seats. And I don't know if the vehicles themselves do have the seat belts in there. But now, if you don't have it, they say you will not, the vehicle will not be registered. I still have my doubts if they're going to follow this through, but we'll see. My guest this morning, DSP Alexander Kweku-Obeng, is with Education, Research and Training at the MTTD, the Ghana Police Service Headquarters. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Mr. Daniel Wakon is a Greater Accra Regional Manager of the National Road Safety Commission. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Okay, so this directive is not new. This directive to not register vehicles without seatbelts is not entirely new, right?
I think it's a new directive. It's just the implementation of the new road traffic regulations, legislative instrument 2180, which was passed in 2012. And in that regulation, the 2 years after the passing of that law, then new...
Oh, 2 years after passing of that law, which is 2014.
2014.
Okay.
So, the commercial vehicles, if you don't have seatbelts fitted into them, then they will not be registered.
What happens to the vehicles that are already in the system without seatbelts?
Yeah, there is a, let me say, a human face being put to it. So from the first quarter or the end of the first quarter of 2015, if you go to renew your roadworthiness, if you don't have seatbelts fitted in the already existing vehicles, then your roadworthiness certificate will not be renewed.
Okay, but you're aware that some of the vehicles don't even have to go to the premises of the DVLA or those who inspect the vehicles,
that's where they are supposed
but they still
to
get
go.
their documents.
That is where they are supposed to go and get their roadworthiness certificate.
Yeah, but the reality is that not all vehicles go there.
They are supposed
and I know this for a fact.
The thing is, if you don't go there, then you don't have the genuine certificate. That is the reality.
Mr. Wakon.
Yes.
I know people who have genuine papers, but don't have to go to the DVLA for it.
Can you prove it?
DSP Alexander Obeng, so you are enforcing this. The police is enforcing it. What are you going to do to persons who drive without seatbelts in their vehicles?
I think the basic rule of engagement that Mr. Wako referred to, that Ghana uses to protect life and property, particularly in this case with regard to minimizing or preventing injuries that are related to secondary collision when vehicles get crashed. It's something that is new, is current, and it is no wonder DVLA has put in measures, as I said, giving a human face so that over time Ghanaians will be inculcated with, and the wearing of seat belts, first of all, fixing of seat belts in vehicles and wearing them will be a habit. I think that basically that is it, so that people who are getting killed out of secondary collision when vehicle crash will minimize or be a thing of the past. So, whereas the laws have outlined what needs to be done, and we are aware, and we are building the capacity of our personnel, and we hope that all vehicle owners, and the enforcement of this is very, very simple. It does not even get to even traffic police officers. That when you are importing your vehicle, you are placing order on all as vehicle assembly plants and manufacturing lines across the globe. Ensure that you refer to LI 2180 regulation 119 and 120 with regard to seatbelt construction, and that the standard is that, and this standard mentioning goes to all car manufacturing companies that are watching and listening to Joy News this morning, that you refer to this basic manual of Ghana, that Ghanaian, all passenger carrying vehicles, be it private or commercial, from 1st September, when you are importing, when it is at the garage being sold, and you ensure that seat belts are on them. And I'm happy that DVLA have gone to the extent of ensuring that they get garages that can, and engineers outlets that can, people can go and procure these and fix on vehicles. Again, they have also given that the vehicles that are already in existence, that are applying our road, being private or commercial, that carry passengers and therefore have seats, are also supposed to, are given up to first quarter next year 2015 to ensure that they go to the premises and get these devices, safety devices called seatbelt, bought and fix it. When these are done, because obviously you ask that question, because the primary enforcement of these things is construction enforcement. So, and we have DVL and the Ministry of Transport that ensures that. And we expect that vehicle owners and importers will see to it. Otherwise, when you are met on the road and the vehicle is new, and when you have a vehicle that exists in the country by 2015, our job is well cut. We just proceed to motor court, and I would think that we won't get to there, because this is basic to protect passengers. If the passenger may be your wife, because it may be a private vehicle, and you say that all occupants on vehicles that have seats are supposed to wear their seatbelt, whether it's a bench type, whether it is a lap type, or it's across the chest.
So Mr. Walker, you're familiar with the trotros, especially those that are around town, you know, those in the community. Some of them, you know, just like DSP said, it's a bench. You expect people sitting on the long bench, you know, the one they refer to as Achiaya, to wear seatbelts, you know, while sitting there?
No, according to the law, the people who sit on the benches, they are supposed to wear lap strap. Just like if you are sitting in the plane, just a buckle here.
But I'm wondering how they're going to fix that.
The engineers are there to construct all those things, so it's not going to be a problem. The capacity is there. DVLA is building the capacity. They are supposed to provide even the belts. They are supposed to construct some garages. They are even working, if you read the story, they are working with the Ghana Association of Garages so that they can like nominate some of the very good garages to take up this challenge and provide. You see, let's find out why is it necessary to wear seatbelts. Look, if you are moving in a vehicle at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, which is the highest number of kilometers you are supposed to make on the highway, except the motorway, and there is a crash, if you are not in the seatbelt, you will continue moving at that same speed in the vehicle if the vehicle stops suddenly. And that is where you have a secondary collision with either the person sitting by you, the seat in front of you, the windscreen, or whatever. That is what we want to prevent. A lot of people are killed or injured seriously because they are not in seatbelt. And research has even shown that if you are not in seatbelt, you are 25% more likely to die when there is a crash. So we should look at the importance of seatbelt and what it can do. It's there to protect our lives. It could be your brother, your sister. And I don't think we should even limit this thing to only commercial vehicles. Every vehicle, the moment you are in a moving vehicle, that's even what the law says. You must be.
I'm just looking at, would the vehicle owners, the trotros especially, comply with this?
They have to comply because, as Mr. Bain said, it's very simple. Before you go and register a vehicle, if it is not there, it's not going to be registered from 1st September if it's a new vehicle. The ones already in the system, we have been given a grace period of up to March 2015, by which time you should just go and fix this thing. And if you watch clip, I mean, they are not doing this in isolation. The transport owners and unions are also part.
So I take it that the education has started already on the ground.
It started not even only yesterday, or it's been there. We've been talking about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the law has been passed since 2012.
Okay. So let me just get this clear. Vehicles will not be registered, first of all, effective September this year. But from March 2015, you start arresting. Is it the vehicle you are arresting, or you are arresting with the passengers who are not wearing the seatbelts?
Like we said, since 2005, 2004, when the Act 683, which is the Parent Act of Ghana's road law, came in, we've been heightening the awareness creation and in certain instances arresting those vehicles that have already seatbelts fixed on them but the occupants are not wearing. We have been doing that, and sensitization ongoing, including even sensitizing Ghanaians that those with seatbelts, private saloon vehicles, even the law says that when minors between the ages of 5 and under 18 are on board, the adults on the vehicles should ensure that these minors wear them. And if they don't, we take on the adults, and that even those under 5 years are supposed to be strapped in their baby carrying devices and cots and all that. All these sensitization has been ongoing. What the law said was that those that don't have seatbelts already on them are given 2 years from July 2012, when the law started being implemented up to now. And that's why in terms of implementation, these guidelines have come to not only informing vehicle manufacturers and importers and owners, but also sensitize the general public that there is the need for us to acculturate with the use of seatbelt. For us, it is like I said, it is an easy venture for all of us, and we are also happy.
And not to cut you there, I'll come back to you, but I just want to engage the acting chief executive of the DVLA, Mr. Rudolph Beckley, who's joining us via phone right now. Hello, good morning, sir. If you can hear me, thank you for your time.
Good morning, Nafisa. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're going over this directive that you issued, that effective September this year, you're not registering commercial vehicles that do not have seat belts in them. And I was asking the question, if you think that the trotro owners and drivers indeed will comply with this order.
Thank you so much. Indeed, if you look at the LI 2180 that was passed by Parliament in 2012, Section 119 prescribes that every vehicle that is delivered onto the road must have seat belts in them for the safety of the occupants of the vehicle. In order to actualize or implement that requirement under the law, the DVLA has come up with some measures and directives. And then a framework we have developed for the implementation of the seat belt is in 2 phases. The first phase talks about vehicles, new vehicles that are due for registration and that do not have seat belts. By 1st of September 2014, the DVLA will not register new vehicles meant for passenger transport and that do not have seat belts on each of the seats. That is the first phase. Now, the second phase will also look at commercial vehicles that are already within the fleet and that do not have seat belts. We are given a deadline of March ending. But before we get to the deadline, what we are doing is that the DVLA is currently in a process of procuring seat belts, and then the procurement of the seat belts will also include what we call installation training. We are also in the process of identifying garages who will be provided the training to be able to fit these seat belts in commercial vehicles. So therefore, we are looking at all these things to be done by the month of March, so that by March, commercial vehicles already within the fleet or already operating will begin fitting their seat belts from March. Then I'm talking about the 1st of September being for vehicles that are new, that are due for registration and that do not have seat belts. They will be fitted with seat belts, or they would have to be registered with seat belts by the 1st of September. So therefore, the framework is in 2 phases. And we have also spoken to the motor firms to comply with this directive, that when they are importing vehicles meant for public passenger transport, the minimum safety requirement, which of course includes seat belts, must be part of the vehicle before it's sold to the public.
But are you aware, sir, that some of the vehicles indeed get registered even without going to the DVLA offices?
Well, the DVLA has a mandate of registering all categories of vehicles. So therefore, I don't know which other agency has the mandate to register a vehicle apart from the DVLA.
What I mean is that the vehicles don't physically come to your premises. but the owners do get the documents.
Yeah, what I'm saying is this, that the law requires that for you to register a vehicle, you must physically present the vehicle before it is registered. And therefore, I can assure you that every vehicle we register in this country is physically presented to the DVLA before we register the vehicle. Because look, the documentations you have to fill on the vehicle, we need to look at the vehicle, the chassis number, the color of the vehicle, put in all our documents before we proceed to register. So if the vehicle is not physically presented, we may not be able to even look at the color or determine the other features that are equally important in terms of the documentation of the vehicle. So surely vehicles that are meant for registration are physically presented to the DVLA before registration is done.
Is this ahead of other directives that will be issued by the DVLA in future? I mean, is this the first of a lot of things to happen?
Yeah, you're right. This is one of the directives that will be coming up in terms of the implementation of the LI 2180. The LI 2180 comes up with a lot of requirements. We have implemented quite a number already, and therefore we are still in the implementation phase of the LI 2180. The law requires that whatever provision in the LI 2180 must be implemented to the letter, and therefore it is a responsibility not only of the DVLA but also of the MTTD and then the National Road Safety Commission to together ensure that all the provisions, all of the regulation 2180, that is from regulation 1 to regulation 195, all the provisions there must be duly implemented, and that is exactly what we are doing. So you are right in saying that this is one of the initiatives or the interventions we are deploying in order to ensure that we fully implement the requirements under the LI 21.
So by what time, finally, are you hoping that we would implement this LI fully?
No, like I said, most of the provisions of under the LI have been implemented. If you look at the LI is a combination of old provisions and new provisions. Out of the 195 provisions in the LI 2180, we have about 13 of the provisions that are new. And therefore, I'm talking about these new provisions, and out of these 13, close to about 7 of them have been implemented already. So by the end of this year, 2014, we should be in a position to implement all the requirements under the LI 2180, and therefore we are also as part of the process embarking on in-depth enforcement, embarking on sensitization by way of road safety education, and also embarking on ensuring that we ensure that every motor vehicle on the road or every driver complies with the regulation.
Okay, so you did mention the MTTD and the National Road Safety Commission. Fortunately, correct, I do have them both in here, so we'll end with you on the phone line. Mr. Beckley, thank you so much for your time this morning.
You're most welcome.
All right, so Acting Chief Executive of the DVLA, the Rudolph Beckley, joining us via phone. Okay, so of course I do have Mr. Daniel Wakon and DSP Alexander Kweku Obeng of the MTTD here. So National Road Safety Commission, just give us a quick one on what you do. What are you supposed to be doing with us?
The National Road Safety Commission basically is the lead agency that is responsible to coordinate and plan road safety activities in the country. Okay. So we do this in collaboration with our major stakeholders as the DVLA, the police, the MTTD, the Ghana National Fire Service, the ambulance service, the road agencies, the highways, the urban roads, the feeder roads. With all this, we come together to make sure that whenever we find ourselves on our roads using them, we are as safe as possible. Okay. So the National Road Safety Commission is at the center of it, and we champion education and awareness creation. National Road Safety Commission.
Okay. Are you aware of the people who drive on the shoulders of the roads, especially when there's traffic?
Yes, we are aware, and the law is even there against driving on the shoulders.
But you see, we see a lot of things in the book.
Yeah.
But the things that happen on the ground.
It's supposed to be enforced. But the thing is, the police who are supposed to enforce these laws, how many are they to line up the whole stretch of roads in Accra or the country? So I think that we should, as Ghanaians, we should be just responsible.
But there's a lot of indiscipline, these days.
So do we have to expect the police to be there before we obey the laws of this country?
I
That's
think
the question we should ask
my
ourselves.
yeah, and the other question I want to ask
Otherwise,
DSP perhaps is how can we change this? Because see,
I think we should
when
help the
there's
police
traffic,
to
when
help
there's
us.
sometimes it's not like there's traffic, but it's just the indiscipline that's causing the traffic. Let one policeman come, and then you see that there's order.
So
Do
why,
we always need?
Why should we be such people?
Does it mean that perhaps you're not doing something right?
If they know that they are not supposed to do it, why are they not doing it when they see the police? It means they know, they have the idea, they know that they are not supposed to do it. So we are getting the message out there. They are hearing it. They are.
Yeah, but is your duty to change? Is your duty to change the minds, the mentality?
The thing is, that's attitude. That's attitude. You have to change your attitude. You have to change your attitude. I'll provide the information for you. I'll provide education for you. You have to change the attitude.
But I'm thinking that if I'm not changing my attitude and you're providing the information, then it means that perhaps you failed.
No, I have not failed. I have not failed. I have sent the message across. You have heard the message. You are using them. Whenever the police is there, you don't do it. When the police is not there, then you start doing the wrong thing.
Let me just ask DSP. Maybe he understands. You're closer to the action than most of us. What do you think is the problem with us?
Oh, I think we are human, and we have.
So it's just attitude.
We have varied background in terms of upbringing, and whether it was geographic or what have you, and it was ethnic, religion, and what have you. But I don't know, even education and all that. Generally. We think that to ensure and maximize compliance of road law, rules and regulations on the road, we think that we need a combination of certain things before we can achieve that everywhere in the world. Now, if you allow only the human being and without any other, for instance, engineering intervention and also judicial process intervention, you obviously know of, for instance, there's this theory in criminology that talks about the fact that some people are born criminals, and it doesn't matter what happens, a person will commit crime. And so in traffic management, we're not only looking at education. That one alone won't solve the problem. That elsewhere, we know the engineer also ensure compliance situationally. That engineering furniture, including the way the routes are constructed, even tend to prevent or make it difficult for those who want to commit from committing. And that's also a fact. And also we balance it also or reinforce it with rigorous deterrent enforcement. So for us, education is very critical. Engineering of our routes to make it difficult, for instance, for pedestrians to just jaywalk or cross the road anyhow, anywhere, and also ensure that you systematize the road and clearly demarcate with road construction and ensure that the road footpaths are clearly delineated from the pathways of the drivers and all that. So for us, because when I show you even the court outcomes last month, you will see that police has made significant arrests. We've gone to court.
But there are a lot of people who also beg and then you let them go.
What I'm saying is that even in the not begging, but there are some that have been issued with warning letters. There are even some who are on bench warrants because they did not avail themselves to the court. But others avail. Court has sanctioned, and we hope that over time they will change because some were in prison, some were asked to pay punitive fines into the state.
You took some of the drivers to prison.
Oh, the court did it, and I'm saying that these are the area of work we do, in addition to the proactive sensitization efforts by the road safety commission and the stakeholders. And you think that if you look, let's look at the carefully look at our roads in Accra, for example. Most of these roads are supposed to be urban roads or community roads. That helps us to get to our various places of residence, where we expect majority to walk by the road. We can't do it with ourselves. We have adequate road furniture called pedestrian footpath or what do you call that is which is basic.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Mr. Walker. In some places there are. You stand right in front of our building and you see the pedestrian crossing. Once you stand there, Mr. Walker, are the vehicles supposed to just see you and stop, or you are supposed to walk or stop them with your hands?
What I was driving at is the abuse, the limited ones we have. Even look at how we are abusing it. Maybe I don't want to take you on, but I know very well that even the footpaths that are put at the frontage have been taken over by vehicles, because the premise when it was designed, we did not incorporate car park, and that is part of the problem we have, so that we are not able to acculturate well the people, because you have the pedestrian walkway, the limited one you have that has been taken over by parked vehicles in the frontage of corporate entities in the city center, among others. You begin to create problems. Even in our community, I've said, where are the pedestrian walkway? You go, the roads are not there. And I can mention roads to you. Let me mention you two. In Accra, they have one called Lagos Avenue, and we have one Freetown Avenue. The Lagos Avenue from Emmanuel I, that passes through moving peak, what we call, East Legon.
Oh, yes. you're talking about the Emmanuel Eye Clinic?
Yes, that road is called, what we call Lagos Avenue. And the one that departs from the Legon Junction, the roundabout there at Opongulu, into the Opongulu proper, is also called Freetown Avenue. These are major urban community routes with businesses dotted along it, with pedestrians moving up and down. You go and see how pedestrians are sharing these roads with what we call vehicles. And it typifies the problem we have with our road environment and construction of our road that doesn't seek to protect majority of road users on foot. And that's what I'm talking about. You combine it with education and enforcement, and you have very well cut out what we call road engineering. It helps to promote peace and safety and protect road users. So we need a fine combination. We cannot compartmentalize safety on the road with regard to tackling only enforcement.
But is that what we are doing, Mr. Wako?
And we think, I'm saying that we don't have the findings, and it's a problem.
As we said earlier, road safety, we do it in collaboration with all these stakeholders. I mentioned even the road agencies, the police, the fire service, the ambulance service. So everybody has their stake in all this. We are mentioning something about
when you get to the pedestrian crossing. Yes.
Pedestrian crossing. The law states when the pedestrian steps his or her foot on the zebra, the vehicle is supposed to stop.
Really?
Yeah.
It has never happened to me.
That is the law. That is how it's supposed to be. A lot of drivers are aware of it. Some do comply, some do not. And as Mr. Obin said, there are some who are just not there to obey the law. So, but I will always say, I will advise the pedestrian to be careful. Make sure the vehicle stops, because your life is more important. Make sure the vehicle stops for you to cross, then you cross.
Okay. All right. So this new law that we're talking about with seatbelts, it means that's it.
It's black and white. It's there.
It's on.
My colleague Beckley talked about, Chief Executive Officer DVLA talked about this seemed to be new one, because the regulation took over from the old airline, and we made 13 new inclusions, new things that need to be inculcated, and implementation is ongoing. This happens to be one, and we think that it is something that inures to the safety of vulnerable road users and all, particularly pedestrians, all of us, and what we call occupants of passengers. And it's elsewhere all over the world where they are thinking about safety. It's a habit, having a seatbelt on a vehicle and wearing them. What I would advise is that from now going, those who are into cinema, filmmaking, sometimes when I watch films some of them are role models, but the scenes I see when vehicles are being moved in the vehicle in these films, you don't see the occupants wearing seatbelt, and the wearing not wearing doesn't have any bearing on the scene. So I think that as part of the education and the training that is needed to targeting even the youth, these entities should also be seen wearing it. So those in charge cinema in Ghana, people tend to watch a documentary, what have you. When people are boarding any vehicle that pertains to any of the scenes, make sure they wear them. We want to see it.
Okay.
It should be basic. It is. We are not turning back. We don't need to. I love to see people getting protected. Because throughout my career, I've seen needless deaths at crime scenes. That I've seen people that have been thrown out of buses because they were not wearing, and they got crashed on the bare, tar road, and they died. And it continues to happen because if you are not in seatbelt, you get ejected. Kinetic science has shown beyond reasonable doubt. So for us, we think that it is a new day for us with regard to preventing secondary collision-related injuries.
Okay.
It has saved a lot of lives in Ghana. In fact, dignitaries and others have come to confirm this in recent times. Our presidents that got involved in crashes came to testify. Alhaji Bawumia said that in addition to the blessing he had from Allah, it was the seatbelt. Kwame Japan came to tell us, had it not been the seatbelt, when the vehicle veered off, that V8 and all that, he would have died. It's seatbelts all over the world, in Ghana. Even today, we save lives. So it is something that we have come and we have embraced it. All must allow it to be rolled out so that we all protect
And DSP, it's a good call, the one to producers. So, Mr. Walcott, is this available to everybody? The LI? This?
Yeah, you go to the publishing house.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And it's called?
Is that Road Traffic Regulations 2012, LI 2180.
Okay. I'll specially invite you again, hopefully next week, and then we can continue with this conversation, another side of it. But for today, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right.